The Great Pyramids of Giza, the Sphinx, the treasures of Tutankhamun, all these relics speak of a bygone era. They suggest an age of great leaders, priests and craftsmen who created marvels that have survived for thousands of years. But what about the common folk? What was daily life like for ordinary Egyptians? Ancient Egypt was situated in the northeast corner of Africa along the banks of the river Nile. Besides the iconic white linen, the Egyptian climate was hot and dry, so comfort was key. Their diet mainly consisted of bread, beer, and vegetables. Farmers grew crops like wheat, barley, flax, and vegetables such as onions, garlic, and leeks. Fish from the Nile was a great source of protein, and they raised livestock, including cows, geese, and ducks. They memorized everything from religious texts to practical information, like how to count. They believed in many gods and goddesses who controlled everything from the sun to the Nile River. They used a system of ramps and levers to move huge blocks of stone. They also invented the arch and the dome, which allowed them to create buildings with larger open spaces. Around 332 BC, Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, marking the beginning of the end. They worked hard as farmers or artisans and enjoyed simple pleasures in their free time. If you are enjoying, subscribe so you will not miss upcoming videos on Historiomystic. Let's continue to the topic, what daily life was like in ancient Egypt. Their society was tightly knit, and religion played a major role in their daily lives. The Egyptians believed in an afterlife and went to great lengths to prepare for it. Despite its eventual decline, ancient Egypt left a lasting legacy on the world. Its innovations in architecture, medicine, and mathematics are still studied today. The art and culture of ancient Egypt continued to inspire artists and writers. The story of ancient Egypt is one of resilience and innovation. It is a reminder that even in the most challenging circumstances, humans can create beauty and wonder. His empire was short-lived, and after his death, Egypt came under the control of his general. Ptolemy I. Egypt became a part of the Greek Empire, and Alexandria became the capital. Over the next few centuries, Egypt was ruled by a series of Greek and Roman rulers. Finally, in 30 BC, Egypt came under the rule of the Roman Empire. As a province of Rome, Egypt continued to be a vital part of the Mediterranean world. It remained a center of trade and culture, but it was no longer independent. The glory days of ancient Egypt were over. Ra was the most important god, and was depicted as a falcon-headed man. They also had a monopoly on certain goods, like turquoise, which they mined in their own territory. They used boats to transport goods up and down the Nile River and to other countries. The Egyptians were also known for their art and craftsmanship. They created beautiful jewelry, furniture, and statues. Their art was highly stylized and often depicted scenes from everyday life. They also believed in an afterlife. After a person died, their soul went on a journey through the underworld. To help the soul on its journey, the living built elaborate tombs filled with treasures. Funerals were expensive affairs, lasting up to 70 days, involving mourning, offerings, and prayers. The Book of the Dead was a collection of spells and prayers designed to help the dead person's soul navigate the underworld. It was filled with magical incantations and instructions on how to properly honor the deceased. The Egyptians also had a strong belief in magic. They believed that certain words and symbols could be used to control the world around them. Priests were often seen as magicians, using their knowledge of religion and science to perform miracles. Scribes were responsible for teaching reading, writing, and math. However, this education was mostly reserved for boys. Girls were taught domestic skills such as cooking and cleaning. Fruit was also popular, and they even had domesticated dogs. And let's not forget about the classic Egyptian feast. Bread was commonly enjoyed dipped into beer, which is kind of interesting, and you can bet there was plenty of wine to go around. Men typically wore a simple white loincloth, while women donned a floor-length dress with straps to hold it in place. Farmers were at the bottom of the social hierarchy, followed by artisans and merchants. They celebrated festivals honoring the gods, pharaohs, and the seasons. These celebrations included music, dancing, and even parades. Board games were also popular. One example was a game similar to checkers, but they played it with pieces shaped like baboons. They also enjoyed hunting birds and fishing. Some even kept pet falcons and trained them to hunt. For those looking for more excitement, there were also taverns and gambling houses where they played games of chance and sang and drank with friends. At the top were priests, scribes, and government officials. Scribes were highly respected as they were responsible for recording important information on papyrus. The most prestigious job was being a priest. This was because they were the only ones allowed to speak to the gods on behalf of the pharaohs. For the elite, linen was often dyed in vibrant colors and adorned with fancy patterns. And hey, don't forget the headgear. Men sported a close-fitting linen cap, while women rocked a longer version that flowed majestically behind them. Now, this wasn't just any river. It was the longest river in the world, and it provided everything the Egyptians needed to thrive. The Nile overflowed its banks every year, leaving behind rich silt that made the land incredibly fertile. This meant that the Egyptians could grow enough food to feed a large population and even trade with other civilizations. Canals and roads ran from north to south along the river, making it easy for people and goods to move around. Two capitals alternated over the centuries, Memphis in the north and Thebes in the south. However, there were no big cities. Instead, there were many small towns and villages. And because the Nile was so important to their lives, most people lived near its banks. Houses were made out of mud, brick, and had flat roofs. Wealthier citizens would have their houses built out of stone, but that was pretty rare. Most homes had one central courtyard with rooms built around it. Furniture was simple and consisted of beds, stools, and tables made out of wood. The walls were often decorated with artwork or carvings, and some homes even had running water and toilets. How did they live, work, eat, and play? We're here today to answer those questions, so let's jump right in. Welcome to my channel once again. I hope you're enjoying. Today we are launching a new series called What Life Was Like. In this series, we will explore what daily life was like in various periods and places throughout history. And today we're starting with ancient Egypt, a quick recap till now. But before we get to what the common folk were up to, let's start with the basics, like where they lived. Now, let's talk about what these Egyptians got to wear. Next, let's chat about what these folks enjoyed eating. When it comes to jobs, ancient Egypt was all about specialization. Now, let's talk about entertainment. In their free time, Egyptians loved to party. Education in ancient Egypt was not very common. Most children learned how to read and write at home by their parents or older siblings. Religion and rituals played a major role in the lives of the Egyptians. They were innovators when it came to building. They developed tools and techniques that allowed them to build massive structures like the pyramids. Ancient Egyptian trade was extensive. They traded with Mesopotamia, India, and Greece. They traded goods like gold, ivory, and incense. The end of ancient Egypt came gradually as the once mighty empire declined and fell under the rule of foreign powers. In conclusion, the common people of ancient Egypt lived a simple life. If you found this journey through ancient Egypt as fascinating as we did, don't let the story end here. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with fellow history lovers. Subscribe to Historimistic for more deep dives into the mysteries and moments that shaped our world. New history-packed videos drop regularly, so hit that notification bell and never miss a glimpse into the past. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired. This is Historimistic, where history meets mystery. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos about history.